Welcome to Detroit in Black and White. I'm Adolph Mongo. This is our Friday edition. And joining me tonight, Jim Nardone. Jim, what's up?
Good evening. Good evening to all our friends out there. July is turning into August tomorrow.
Oh, it is?
It is. Tomorrow's August 1st. So the summer is slipping away.
Summer is gone. Summer is gone. Well, Tuesday is right around the corner.
And what's going on Tuesday?
Oh, you know what's going on. They got an election. Any surprises come Wednesday morning, Jim?
I think there's always surprises. Hello, Derek Henry. Thanks for joining us. Dwayne LeBoyce. Yeah, I think the biggest talked about race is the Democratic U.S. Senate race, and I don't believe any of the polls. I think the polls are at this point. I don't know what's going to happen to polls going forward in the future, but it seems like polls are more
polls are obsolete. It's getting to become obsolete, and I think it all started in 1948 when Gallup poll crowned Thomas Dewey president. Said that you might well don't go out to vote. Pack up your shit, Harry Truman. It's all over. And the Chicago Tribune, they printed their edition early. Well, I hope whatever editor gave a go to that got fired, and the papers went out like 3 o'clock in the morning and shit. That Dewey wins, the new president. Guess what? Truman, that train ride across the country got him back in office. So I've seen that happen where people went to bed or they talked to the pundits. The special election between Joanne Watson and Gil Hill, where all the pundits on that Sunday on all the political shows said Gil Hill by a landslide. And Joanne Watson called me about to cry, saying, I guess we not good enough. I said, Joanne, we have had 2 polls. We have looked at the numbers. We're going to win this. Don't even worry about it. And we won. We wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised. But, people, I said, polls don't vote. Billboards don't vote. And, I'm looking at Les Moore. I voted for Abdul and McKinney. Well, I had to hold my nose to vote for McKinney because I'll tell you, and he's in my district. It was between him and that do nothing incumbent that we got, Shree. But I don't know what McKinney gonna do if he gets in there. And Abdul is gonna have a hard time. If Abdul win on Tuesday, I bet you I'll put my money on Mike Rogers in November. He's gonna go. Abdul is gonna go the way that Jeffrey Feiger went in '98, when Feiger stole a nomination from traditional Democrats, came out of nowhere and beat him to a pulp in the primary and got slaughtered in the general. That's my prediction if that happens. Go ahead, Jim.
Good evening, Deborah Harris. Good to see you. Kenneth Reed. Edward All, good evening to you. Kenneth Reed. G-Money Hollywood, greetings to you. We're doing good. Happy Friday to you. Tamari Kemet, our good friend Tamari Kemet. I think I got Dwayla and Derek. We spoke a little bit earlier with them. What's going on, everybody out there? What's everybody thinking? Tamari's believing Abdul's going to win. I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to call that race, but I think if he doesn't win, I think there's going to be a lot of disappointed people that already think the win is in the bag. I think it's going to be interesting.
It's gonna be. Listen, it can go either way. Talking to some people in Haley Stevens' camp, they confident that they're gonna win. They saying internal polling. Talking to some people on the other side at Abdul camp, saying he's gonna run away with it. So I don't think it's a runaway on either side, and I think these commercials at the end, the pro Haley commercials with showing him against Michelle and Barack Obama, uh, Kamala Harris and Whitmer. Women holds the trump card in Michigan when it comes to voting. Debbie Stabenow, when she was running against Spencer Abraham, an incumbent, was losing, and it was black women in Detroit that turned out in big numbers at the end and got her over the hump.
So we have Mr. 1213. Go ahead, Adolph.
No, go ahead.
Mr. 1213 said he's surprised that the governor came out and chose the Haley Stevens side. And I'm not that surprised. Adolph, why don't you explain to our viewers why you think that happened?
Well, because at one, they worried that Abdul can win this thing. Two, traditional Democrats, the ones that's not on the progressive side, that don't call themselves Democratic Socialists of America, like McKinney has sent out literature with that on. Man, they bringing in the big guns, the Congressional Black Caucus. They pushing up the negative vibes on Abdul because they scared shitless. I say her coming out for him, for Haley Stevens, it's not gonna make a difference. It's not gonna make a difference. I don't think anybody see Whitmer and say, "Oh shit, the governor with him, and I'm going with him." I don't think you're gonna get a lot of people that care what Whitmer. All of a sudden, Whitmer has said she got no fucking credibility. She wouldn't even endorse her own lieutenant governor, saying, I'm not in the business of endorsing. I'm not getting in it. In the primary. Yeah. So, but they all sticking together. You got the Bernie Sanders and Rashida Tlaib people versus the Whitmer folks, the traditional Democrats.
Couple of comments. What I found heartening is that most of the campaigns have street teams out there knocking on doors in my area consistently. Kenneth Reed, thank you. Did the Council of Baptist Pastors support Abdul? Les is asking that question.
They don't mean the Council of Baptist Pastors don't mean shit. They bring nothing to the table.
Tamari agrees with you, said that I believe no credibility from the governor. G Money Hollywood, Abdul will lose in a close race. As I said in the earlier podcast, it'll come down to who will get the last kibbles and bits. Haley most likely will come out on top. They want a stabbing out type. Thank you. Tamari's not surprised. Stephanie Jackson, good to see you this evening. Edward Alt, another question for you, Adolph. I'm so glad I got to use my absentee ballot yesterday, Edward Alt. Will the absentee ballot for all of us go away anytime soon, Adolph? Or are we going to be able to vote by mail?
Listen, the Republicans pushing to get rid of vote by mail, but I don't get it. Trump won states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, and all of them got vote by mail and early voting and shit, and he won. Why fuck up a good thing? And when you got an agenda and the other person don't have an agenda, you beat them. You beat them. Trump killed himself in the first term, and the Democrats killed himself when they kicked Biden off the ticket and put his vice president on, and that was a fucking chaos. Yeah, so they're gonna keep absentee ballots. It's a good campaign issue in some areas, saying let's get rid of that, let's get rid of early voting and shit. But they act kind of slow. But Kenneth Reed said Whitmer is a lame duck, so I'm not surprised that she endorsed Haley. The old guard is kind of spooked at the aggressiveness of the young lions on the Democratic side. Man, I couldn't have said it that much better. That's true. You hit it. You hit it. Yeah.
Whether you agree with the young, we'll call him the young lion, Abdul Al Sayed. Whether you agree with his policy or his positions or not, he's certainly making a name for himself in the Democratic Party.
He's not gonna go away. He's not going away. Somehow, some way, he wins this nomination. You have to look at who would stand behind him. I don't think he get that old guard. Well, out of D.C., they need a Democrat. But you get a lot of folks here saying, I'm not voting for him. And his stand on Israel. How many Jews that would going to vote for him?
That's a great question.
Many. Not many. How many black folks are going to fly into his corner? I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you, because they're not going. Well, the Jewish vote might go to Rogers, but just what he said. I'm not voting for him because Arabs don't vote for black people. So I hear that a lot. Say they don't vote for us, and I'm not gonna vote for them, whether that's right or wrong. And I said, it's tit for tat on this shit. What have you done for me lately?
How about Jill Sheridan? Good evening to you, Jill Sheridan. Just a quick question for you, if you can think about this and maybe post it. What is the availability of mail-in voting in the state of Florida? Is it easy? Is it tough? Have they made it more difficult? Has DeSantis made it more difficult for people to get to the polls or not? And Les said that the Supreme Court is going to try and stop mail-in ballots. I don't think he can get that in front of the Supreme Court. I think that's a big ask. I just don't see that. I think they want legislation to minimize the ability to get people to vote, and I think there's plenty of ways that people
already people don't vote. There's like shit. Whether you want to just have a police state where you pick folks like they had in the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, where they just appointed people to represent you, and they wasn't fucking voting for them. Listen, it took the U.S. a long time to. It took in the beginning, the popular vote didn't elect the president. It was the Congress, and then the senators. It didn't get elected by the people until the 20th century. They was appointed. They was elected by the state representatives. Elected them. So things change, but some things. Why would you get rid of the few things that let people go vote, because right now a voter can live across the street from a voting poll. It's 90 degrees, 85, or 70 something degrees. They don't want to go and vote. They won't even go. You can put an absentee ballot in front of folks and they won't fill it out and send it back. So you tell me.
So Mackie Samuels, 9954, Dr. Manny Wright, author of The Heirs of the Great Migration. Thank you, Teresa. Did America destroy its factories to destroy Black progress? All of the former factory towns of the Midwest are mostly minority towns. That's an interesting perspective. Thank you, Mackie Samuels, for your contribution there. And G Money Hollywood was talking, and if I'm wrong, G Money, let me know, about Governor Whitmer falling short, maybe getting a spot in the next administration somewhere in a candidate, and somewhere, if she fails as a candidate, she'll fall short and become appointed Secretary of State, maybe attorney, whatever she may be. But I'm going to ask you this, G Money. I'm going to ask all our other viewers, and I believe this strongly. For the Democrats to win the White House, they need a moderate. I don't think they'll win unless they have a moderate, and if not Gretchen Whitmer, who is my question? And
well, you got Josh Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. You got the governor of Kentucky, who's a Democrat, Andy Beshear. You got a Democratic governor out of North Carolina. You got some. I think Gavin Newsom is somebody that you can't overlook.
It's funny you didn't mention another woman. I find that interesting because I think now's the time, and I think it's coming. And I think Gretchen Whitmer's in it. Personally, I don't always support her. There's a lot of issues I have with her, but I think she's right in that sweet spot. I'm going to tell you that right now. I see that. If she can get a machine together, she has as good a chance as anybody.
Oh yeah. Well, Jimmy Carter was a fucking peanut farmer who ran for governor of Georgia, and then came out of nowhere and became president. Bill Clinton, same way, governor of Arkansas, wasn't well known around the country, but he came out of nowhere and won.
And Deborah makes a huge point. Informed citizens are democracy's best defense. I think Deborah's trying to tell us something, and I think we know what she's trying to tell us. Thank you, Deborah. I'm going to read between the lines on that one. I hope I'm okay with that. Should we take a quick break, Adolph?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabria, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Midterm elections influence our schools, public safety, housing, and other services families rely on every day, and that includes gas prices. While presidential elections get more attention, many decisions that affect daily life are made by leaders elected in midterms. Your vote is your voice. Voting helps ensure community concerns are heard. It holds leaders accountable and supports positive change. Make a plan to vote and encourage family, friends, and neighbors to do the same. Our community is strongest when every voice is heard. For more information on how and when to vote, call 313-876-0190 or go to detroitmi.gov/elections. When we vote, we don't just choose leaders, we choose the future of our community. Vote.
Okay. Read some more, Jim.
So we have a question from Les. I believe the gentleman, I'll call him a gentleman here. His name is Darius Morris, who is a Detroit police commissioner, elected official, who was involved in an assault. He was not. He was present, I will say, for an assault. What are your thoughts on that, Adolph?
Well, I don't think he should be kicked off because of that video, but I think he should have never been on because he's a convicted felon. This is a police. This is a body of folks that oversee the police, and I always argued that ex-police officers shouldn't be on that on the commission. It was created to be a civilian board as a checks and balances to the police department. Somebody that I'm an ex-cop. I'm a lookout for the police. Not that I'm saying that the ex-cops that sat on this board did that, but it just doesn't look right. And and two felons deciding, discipline for police officers and police employees. Look, people have a right to have a second chance in life, but some things it just don't go together.
Well, let me touch on it. Good evening to Maya Brown, Doreen
You're
Denard.
a
Thank
cop.
you for joining
You're
us.
a cop, so you tell me.
Here's my position. He is an elected official. He was present for an assault. Ross Jones interviewed him. Ross Jones is whatever he is, WXYZ investigators, whatever his role is.
Yeah.
And Ross Jones asked him if he had a duty to intervene. Here's where I have a challenge with it. Darius Morris is not a police officer. He's an elected official. So he has no duty to intervene, including to stop somebody. It could be a moral issue. It could be an ethical issue, but it's certainly not a legal issue. I don't think the best thing he could have done is left and called 911. That's probably what he should have done. Should he have been encouraging anybody at that scene? Absolutely not. Ricardo Moore said this is a bad look. It's absolutely a bad look. But when you're 35 or 40 or 32 years old and you're out in public, these things are going to happen. So I agree with you. He maybe should not be on that board for different reasons, but I don't think this should disqualify him. And I think it's a whole heck of a lot of noise for nothing, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm just telling you, it's not that this is an opportunity for those who don't want him on the board to come after. That's all. Yeah.
He has no responsibility to act.
Right. If I was there, Ross Jones couldn't ask me why did I jump in, because I know Ross Jones wouldn't have jumped in. He'd have still been filming. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you.
So a couple more points. The DNC is still putting their finger on the scale of their preferred candidates. It's annoying, not to mention wrong. Thank you, Jill Sheridan. I think that's accurate. I should have ran for the seat. Dorian Denard, 5846. Kerry Leon Jackson told me to do it, but I didn't think I'd win. Well, you never know, Dorian. Here's the answer.
That's why you got to run.
You never win. You never, unless you take that shot, you don't have a chance, right? Put your name in. Lawsuits will be had less. I agree with that. It's certainly a civil issue, Les. Thank you for your comment. He was clearly a brawler. He says he's involved in some kind of mixed martial arts or something, Mr. Morris, apparently. Whoever comes through the next presidential nominating process and becomes a nominee will only succeed if the DNC as an organization pushes the candidate through a movement type of campaign. Thank you, Kenneth. You'd be a little more specific. A movement type of campaign. I agree that whoever gets the nomination needs to have some kind of spark coming from their campaign, some kind of emotion. instead of old school politics. If that's
Well,
your
the last time we had that was in 2009 with Barack Obama. It was a movement. It wasn't a campaign. You know, people were geeked up. People that never voted went out to the polls. That's you got to have somebody that's different, got some charisma, and really talking the talk on the issues that people want to hear, and have some solutions. All this shit, I'm looking at all these commercials. Everybody blame Trump. The Democrats accuse each other of being in Trump's pockets. I thought that's hilarious. All these bullshit accusations from incumbents or people that's running to unseat people or to get elected. It's just some bullshit.
they're fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah,
And that's right.
Go ahead.
No, the question for you and our friends out there is that Abdul El-Sayed fighting? Is he fighting the Democrats and fighting the Republicans both at the same time? And where does that end up? Is that's what it feels like?
Nobody said nothing about I'm the best candidate to beat Mike Rogers, because Mike Rogers don't have opposition. He's sailing through. Nobody has said, "Oh, I'm the best candidate. I can win in November." It's like I'm not thinking about November. I'm thinking about now. I think that's a way to win votes. You know, who can win in November?
He has an advantage. He's not having to spend millions of dollars right now.
No. And all we got is people attacking each other between Shree and the Senate candidates. Man, they control the airways.
Yeah, so Tamari wants to talk about the Iran war. And I don't know if it's a war, Tamari. I guess it is a war in the strictest sense of the word, but I don't know where we're going from here. I think the enemy, if Iran is the enemy of the United States, I think that this administration underestimated the support that Iran was going to get in this conflict. And I don't know where it goes from here. Adolph?
Yeah, but racial issues would never be an issue that any of the parties will use, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they're right or left wing when it comes to racial issues. It's racial issues in this Senate race, even if it's not any black candidates in there. Same way in the 13th district with Shree and Donovan McKinney. So, you know.
And Deborah Harris, great point. Do your battle at the ballot box. Don't stand here and fight with people, and don't do what you need to do. I agree with that. Thank you.
Les Moore said, as for errors mistreating the black community may produce some incidents, but they are checked big time by activists and citizens. Okay.
And Tamari asked a question. Cutting Part B medical care is missing enough people oh, I know what you're saying. Pissing. You can say pissing on this channel, Tamari. We're good with it.
Yeah.
Enough people off to carry Abdul over the top. And that's a question. I read an article the other day that asked if there was enough tattooed bald white men out there to push Abdul to the finish line. I thought that was an interesting take.
Yeah.
Are there enough radicals? Are there enough middle of the road people? That's a great question. I don't know.
The independents gonna decide this race. The independents, the ones that, well, are they gonna go with Abdul or they gonna go with Haley Stevens? Or are they gonna set it out? Derrick Henry, what about Dr. Fauci testimony in Washington? I thought he handled it. He didn't get upset. He said he was cool under fire.
I guess the question there is, where's the value in these hearings for Dr. Fauci?
It's people getting in front of a camera, acting. That's all. It's election time. Rand Paul I see why Rand Paul's neighbor beat his ass in Kentucky, because Rand Paul claimed on Fox News that Dr. Fauci killed 9 million people. And the Fox interviewer says, what proof? He couldn't answer it because he didn't have a proof.
So now I guess you're suggesting that at least Kennedy, the Kennedy guy, is telling people that Fauci had a blood clot in his heart, and it's because he took, I guess, because he took the injection. Did you hear this story?
Okay. Listen, Trump would have been dead if he would have drank the bleach like he told people to do. He got top-notch medical care. There's no question. Kenneth Reed said that black people saw State Senator Coleman A. Young as a cause, and the movement lined up behind him, and it gave him a 20-year run. But something had to happen to make him win, to even get to the primary. He had to have a guy, and I think the guy is still at Wayne State, a professor named John Moak. They called him Walking John. He weighed a couple, maybe 300 pounds almost. He walked the city. He lost all this weight, and he took the liberal white vote from Mel Rabbits, who was one of the favorites to be the next mayor. And Coleman Young and John Nichols slid through the primary, and Coleman Young beat John Nichols. And John Nichols told me years later when I interviewed him, he was the sheriff of Oakland County. He said the best thing happened to him was to lose. He said Coleman was the best person for the job. He said he was pushed into running by the police unions and everybody else that was talking law and order, So he said he wasn't really a politician. So,
couple of thoughts, Adolph. They don't have anything good to present to the people, so excoriate Fauci, keep folks' minds. I need to put my glasses on. Off the war and the Epstein files. Thank you, Jill.
Go ahead. There's no question about it. It's when you do other things, like the White House correspondent dinner. It's crazy. They arrested a former Olympic guy for saying he fucked up the pond in D.C. Now they dropped the charges because it was the contractor that turned the shit green. It wasn't blue. So anything that to take away from Epstein, take away from a lot of the shit that's going on inside the White House, Trump is good at it, and his minions is good at laying down.
And Les says, Mayor Young remains one of my top heroes. Thank you, Les. I appreciate your comment. Would President Obama have gotten sick if he drank the Flint water to marry Kemet? We did that one. So here's a counterpoint, starting with Deborah Harris. I'm not voting for Arabic for governor of Michigan. Can I say that?
You can say it.
He's running for Senate. He's not running for governor, right?
Yeah.
I'm an independent, and I voted for Abdul and against AIPAC Stevens to marry Kemet. So can we talk about that just for a second, Adolph?
Yeah, go ahead.
About the PACs and the super PACs, and I said this on a show a few days ago or a week ago. This isn't a grassroots campaign for Senate from Abdul al-Sayed. And when it gets to AIPAC, I'm just going to throw this out there. Yes, AIPAC is supporting Haley Stevens, but I think it's dishonest to tell people that AIPAC is giving Haley Stevens money. Haley Stevens is not collecting money from AIPAC. AIPAC is acting on their own behalf, supporting Haley Stevens and spending their own money on ads. Am I wrong, Adolph?
Yeah, you're right.
So we talk about she's aligned with AIPAC. I'm not questioning that. But whether it's a super PAC that's giving Abdul al-Sayed money and running his ads, they have every right to do that. They're just following the rules. Whether we like the rules or not, they're following the rules, and AIPAC is looking out for their own best interest, just like Everytown for gun safety is, just like the NRA is, just like all these other organizations are. But when we go on the news and we go on a podcast and say AIPAC gave Haley Stevens $50 million, that's an inaccurate statement.
Yeah, well, but people make that, and it was a time when, Jeffrey Fire went on trial in federal court because he gave everybody at his law firm money to donate it to John Edwards when John Edwards was running for president. They wrote a check and he reimbursed them.
But that's a different
illegal. Yeah, but that's why they keep changing the rules of the game, but it's always in favor of those who bankroll the candidate. You got a PAC that you don't have to tell who gave you the money. So you got all kind of money coming in. And you're right. A candidate can't have no contact with the PAC. So when you see all this, these commercials or literature coming in the mail saying that this was paid by so-and-so PAC and not by any particular candidate, but yet they tell you Haley Stevens is an idiot, or Abdul is a terrorist.
Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, whatever.
They are they're looking out for their own self-interest. We understand that, but they're not handing a check over to Haley Stevens. Are Republicans going to destroy Medicaid and Medicare? Gregory Hartfield, 9327. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they're gonna mess with their own the people that keep them in office. I would play with it because they get lifetime medical, and they don't have to worry about this shit. So it's like preparing for war. You got a war board, and you moving pieces around there, saying send this battalion there, send that, and they tell you, oh, you might get killed. Oh, that's so what? But that's a board game. But in reality, they really moving people, and and people think that's just a game. It ain't a game. It's when you start saying those kind of things. Oh man, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, would the Social Security be bankrupt? Will it be on Medicaid, Medicare? Will it go back to the days before all that?
But that's another. Thank you, Jill, for your comment. She's saying there's not a distinction it's not a distinction without a difference. Thank you, IPAC. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think that when people say it, when you see it on Channel 7 or you see it on Fox News or you see it on whatever, people tell you that somebody else is that this money they've given Haley Stevens this, or they've given al-Sayed this, or they've given Bernie Sanders this, and I get your point. Thank you.
I think the average person don't care.
Is that what you think?
No, they don't give a fuck where the money came.
I want to go back to Gregory Hartfield's point about Medicare and Medicaid. I think this is another point that people, and we talked about it just briefly on the last show. These are trust funds. These are trust funds that are built up by the people that pay into them. And they, when they call them whatever negativity that they associate, that the politicians associate with some of these programs, they're not gifts from the government. They're trust funds that people paid into and expect to get the benefit out of it. So when we talk about Medicare for all, when we talk about free this and free that, there's really only two ways to pay for healthcare. It's through your employer, or it's through your government, and somebody's ultimately going to pay for it through a tax. Typically, when they talk about some of these health plans, some of these countries have high taxation rates, right? So,
but listen, even if you don't have health care for people, you still pay, because people get sick. And
right.
what are you going to turn people away?
Well, they can. Hospitals cannot turn people away, and I think that's lost on people.
And no question. What's the difference with APAC and NRA PAC? Nothing. One go left for the Israelis or the traditional Democrats, etc. The other one go right for the Republicans. But they are two powerful PACs, lobbyists, whatever, and they spend a lot of money getting people elected. Same way with Right to Life. People be fighting to do Right to Life. I knew some Republican candidates that are pro-choice, but they took Right to Life money, because that's the nature of the beast.
Until it turned into the kiss of death for Republican, for moderate Republicans.
Right. Medicare, Medicaid covered my vasectomy in 1998. I'm very grateful for that. Okay, Gregory. That's something I don't need to know.
Hospitals can turn people away, but cannot turn people away, Les, but can reduce care. If you show up in the emergency room with a heart attack, they are compelled.
Well, at some hospitals, it's still with people with insurance get shitty treatment at some places, because you can go to some hospitals and the ER is, man, it's a madhouse. But then you can go to other areas where you're the only one or two people there. So it depends on where you live at and the level of care that you get.
Tamari says, I care. We're talking about healthcare. There's plenty of money for free healthcare. Cut the Pentagon $1 trillion budget.
Yeah, well, you're right, Money. They may not, Jim. You're right. Hospitals may not be able to turn people away, but they do exercise their options if they don't serve you a address, your Medicare issue, etc. I know some hospitals at one time saying we're full, no emergencies. They tell the EMS folks from neighboring cities, you can't bring them here, because we got our quota for this evening. People thinking, well, I don't want to go to receiving, I'll go to Beaumont. Now you go to Beaumont, it's just as busy as receiving, And don't go to the death trap in Northwest Detroit, Sinai Grace. You might as well just go down the street and go to sleep at Swanson Funeral Home, because don't take me to Sinai Grace. That's the last.
I think we need one little more break on that point.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure? Or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation. The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Midterm elections influence our schools, public safety, housing, and other services families rely on every day, including gas prices. While presidential elections get more attention, many decisions that affect daily life are made by leaders elected in the midterms. Voting helps ensure community concerns are heard. It holds leaders accountable and supports positive change. Make a plan to vote. Our community is strongest when every voice is heard. For more information, call or visit us online.
Okay. We're back. I want to read a couple more.
Good evening, Joe R. Thank you, 2157. Thank you for being a part of our show. Les is laughing at the Sinai Grace comment. And Israel gets $4 billion. Does it say $4 billion a year from American taxpayers? Tamari, thank you. Kenneth's PCP is primary care physician. Dr. Herbert Smitherman keeps them going well. We want you to stick around, Kenneth. We need you. You're a good part of this show. We talked about G Money's comment on options at the hospitals. Thank you, G Money. Israel has free health care. What's free health care? The residents of Israel do not pay for health care. Is that your point, Tamari? Thank you. Nothing in politics happens by accident. Tatum Eason Jr. around 23. The big ugly bill kicks in soon. Les. AIPAC is paying to influence the Israeli agenda. Absolutely, Tamari. That's their interest. That's what they're going to do.
That's what they do.
Serenity and peace. Hello to you. Good. Thank you for joining the show tonight. Kenneth Reed said, whoever turns out their supporters in greater numbers will win the campaign. It takes superior organizing. And Kenneth, we know you know a little bit about all that. So thank you for your comment.
And Kenneth says also we call it the Sinai Slaughterhouse. G Money said that he went there in 1999 when I believe it was Mark Carmel. Yeah, Mark Carmel, Grace, and Sinai was right there in the same area for food poisoning and sat in the ER waiting room for 10 hours. And that is no joke. I left and went home. So, yeah.
And wasn't Sinai the class of the operation at one time? Wasn't Sinai's on Outer Drive, right?
Yeah.
And Grace was on 6 Mile?
Yeah, and Mark Carmel was right. One was a Catholic, 2 was Catholic hospitals, and 1 was a Jewish hospital.
Mayor Sheffield has money for housing stability, Les.
Okay, I hope she spent it. I just don't want to get an announcement that she announcing that there's a new development called Sheffield Estates, you know.
Horace Avenue, is that what it's called? Is that the street that leads into it?
Hey, well, you said it, I didn't.
I'm not talking down, not saying anything negative. I'm just asking if the question is Horace Avenue.
Okay, well, Tuesday, one last question on Tuesday. Will there be some surprises when we?
You asked me that at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, and I'm going to end the show. Will there be some surprises? Will a lot of people be disappointed, or people be saying, "I told you so"? You didn't know what you was fucking talking about. It's like I predicted one city council president. She wasn't on city council. She wasn't. She was running, and I said she wasn't going to beat the incumbent, and she did. And then, I tried to get her to come on the show. She beat. You said I was gonna lose. I said, well, if you in the wrong field. If you got to hold grudges and you got thin skin, you in the wrong field. There's no permanent enemies in this shit. Les Moore said Sheffield Estates.
So we just ran an ad that talked about politics, right? Talked about local politics. And I think there's a message to that ad about all politics being local. And I think we miss that sometimes. We have
Well,
to.
it is. Well, Tip O'Neill said that. He said it all goes back to the school board. The school board, state reps, county commissioners, Congress, state senators. Yeah, here we are. They make the key decisions and shit, and unfortunately, the average person don't know who represent them at the county level. They don't know who represent them at the state level, and they get pissed off when shit get cut and what happened to my check. I was cut off from my bridge card because somebody in Congress voted take the funding away. But that's why you got to stay on top of who represents you. Who sit on the school board that's just allowing DPS, and because it's the largest school district in Michigan. In a minute, it won't be. To just bleed to death, and continue to give the leader of that district big raises and patting on the back. And he tried to get out of here several times and didn't get the job other places. And it's like nobody wants to step up and say, I got a plan for the school district. Nobody. We have had all the mayor candidates on here when they ran, and nobody wanted to touch it. Because I guess I pushed them into a corner when I said, should the city take over the school district? What I should have said was, how do you fix the schools? And have you heard anybody come up with any kind of game plan to fix the schools?
Nobody had.
We have our friend Eric Brown, who sat here and rant and rage all over the place about literacy. But how do you get kids to read? How do you get kids to really want to go to the library and get a library card? That was a big deal for me when I was 5 and 6 years old. I got a library card. I can go to the library. But I guess, now you got this, and they play these games. You see babies 8 months, 9 months old playing with the little handheld computers and shit. In a way, this generation is much more advanced and smarter, but yet they way behind in other areas. And in other areas is being informed, because a lot of times Google, AI, they don't get it always right. You got to dig deeper.
I'm going to stop you for
Les Moore say it's because it's part of charter schools, maybe. What were you going to say?
I'm going to stop you for just a second and say hello to our good friend, our dear friend, True Sensation, who's out there tonight. We're glad to see you tonight. You made my day. Thank you. And Miss Sheila's out there too. Hello, Miss Sheila. Where have you been? You're usually a little earlier. I think the point, Deborah Harris's point, is basically, I was just reading it and I lost it again because I wanted to read it exactly what she said. Deborah Harris is there. Informed citizens are democracy's best defense. And that goes throughout when you're talking about the school board. That has to do with your city council. If you live in a small town or a big city, it has to do with your school board. It has to, these are the people that it has to do with. The Detroit, talked about it earlier, the police commission. You voted for that guy.
Yes.
Doreen Bernard would have been a great police commissioner.
Yeah,
We have
yeah. Go ahead.
No, we just have people that they have to take a risk, and that's how politics works. It takes people with courage that can go out and fight for their community, and it starts at the bottom and it ends up at the presidency. But a lot of things are decided. You know, your police and fire and your water and all these things are decided way down at the bottom of the political totem pole. And these are important things. Your taxes, your property taxes.
Well,
Many of these things.
Les Morris said, "Why would you spend hours reading when all AL will quickly summarize for you?" So if you're in medical school and you don't want to read how to take out somebody's kidney or their appendix, and AI give you a brief, see, that AI is dangerous. You don't know what's real or what's AI. Reading, you learn the history. Reading is just fun. There's a lot of books. They put them on the. You don't have to go to the library to get the book. You can get it online. Yes.
So we had, another point. Tamari says money for bombs or money for healthcare, and I read an interesting article a couple days ago that said Abdul al-Sayed ran for governor in 2018 and lost. And what has he done? What has he done to move healthcare forward since then? And that was a valid point. Is it just a political issue or is it a real issue? And do we think that one senator or two senators, Allan made the point on the show that he believes as socialists, there's maybe a little bit of a movement. I don't want to speak for him, but 3 U.S. Congress people that are going to be elected as a Democrat who happen to lean socialist that are replacing a less progressive Democrat are not going to impact our lives.
Yeah.
That's my position.
Yeah.
Haley Stevens or Abdul al-Sayed, they're going to vote 92% or 94% for this if a Democrat's elected.
Yeah, they not bringing anything new to the table. Nothing new. Kenneth Reed said, I remember when we met Dr. Charles H. Wright for the first time at his African History Museum on West Grand Boulevard. It was so cool. We was glad to be visiting our grandparents that day. I remember that. Did you know that Dr. Wright really didn't want the city to build him a bigger museum? And when they built that first museum, he was satisfied. And when Mayor Young said that's not big enough, we got to build one bigger, he basically didn't step foot into the new one. But he was a different guy, got old, but he had a vision. That's history. He kept history alive. You got to know where history came from. Do people know that you drive down I-94 and you see Pelham Road, that you don't pay any attention to it, that was named for Alfred and Benjamin Pelham, a father and son who was African Americans. They were called the fathers of Wayne County government because Benjamin was the first CEO, whatever you want to call it. He had about 5 different jobs in the county, formed the government. Alfred Pelham he became the first CFO of the city, African American under Kavanaugh. They started the first black newspaper, the Plain Daily, back in the 1880s, and you can go and see the plaque where it was, Book Cadillac.
And
Yeah,
I grew
right
up
there.
2 miles from Pelham Road, and I never heard that story in my life.
Yeah, the Pelham family, prominent black family. And when Coleman Young needed Michigan National Bank to renege on their loan to Auburn Hills to build a new hockey arena, it was the chair of the Michigan National Board, Alfred Pelham, he who authorized the vote to take the financing back, and it was Alfred Pelham. It was the first president of Wayne County Community College when they first opened up in 1970. A long history, so I know that
Wow.
Pelham Road. So
that's
that's why we
fascinating.
need the African American Museum. We books. Hey, you know where your history of the city, and that a whole lot of people played a part in the city. How many people know that Charles Lindbergh or Ralph Bunche born in Detroit? You read about them, and okay, but hey, born here, grew up here. Yeah. So yeah, the
Thank you,
library
Deborah.
board. Yes.
Deborah said she pays $200 a month for Medicare, and you've been paying it your whole life, Deborah, and you're going to pay it your whole life. So it's not free, right? People think this, if it's free, it's me. Everything's going to be free. Nothing's free in this world. Miss Sheila.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Miss Sheila says it's supposed to be for we the people. That's what people are supposed to get. That's what our candidates should be elected for. Somewhere along the line, they made a left turn and they decided that they could enrich themselves by being elected to office. And that's what's wrong with this country.
Tamara Kemet says Dr. Wright is turning in his grave about the white corporations. Well, when the city or the donors don't give the kind of money that they used to, of course they go into the corporations. Unfortunately, that's what keeps some of these places open. Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
So should we
Go ahead.
Should we let our friends get on with their Friday evening, Adolph? Are we closing this?
Well, I guess we can close it up.
We can go on.
You get the final. Let's do a final comment. Go ahead, Jim.
I just want to say thank you to everybody that participated, and I learned a lot. I learned all about Pelham Road, and I think that's important. Every time I participate, I learn something from the host. I learned something from our viewers, and I'm grateful for all of you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking time out. All the folks, Miss Lady T, hey, listen, we had a little problem the other day with a software problem, but guess who got us back online, and here we are. Could talk some shit tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. Jim, enjoy your wedding that you're going to, and see you tomorrow. I'll be here.